Hi guys, today I'm going to paint a scene that was inspired by my new light and shadow workshop that I'm just finishing up and ready to roll out pretty soon. So I really got involved in doing pieces with cool shadows and warm sunlight, which this has very apparent, and a little structure in it. Pretty simple composition, but it's got a lot of cool elements to it that I think will be fun to paint. I've also decided today to do a little alcohol wash. I'm going to start, as usual, with my blue spruce, but I'm going to do sort of an underpainting with the alcohol wash. So I'm just going to get started. It's pretty simple composition, very big, strong patterns of light and shadow. I'm just going to go in here and mop in a little bit of blue spruce. It's got this little band of light here, which is a strong element. Got a little structure sitting in here, which is pretty fun. So let's see. Right about yay. It's not too big. Angle just slightly. Rooftop. Something like this. Angle it a little bit more. A little, just indicate those windows. One down here. I'm just going to mass in these foliage masses. So what's in the shadow and what's in the light. So this one's kind of in the light over here. And this one here in the shadow. So I also, what I like about this scene is the trees are and the structure kind of in half light, which is always really interesting. Got these foliage masses. And keep them as large masses. So what's in the shadow? So there's a big shadow coming down across this foliage mass. It's really interesting. This other little tree. I want to make sure that this tree over here is quite a lot different in scale from the large ones. This is all in shadow, and we've got this kind of interesting band of light coming across, which will be important a little bit later on. So that's what I'm going to start with. Really nice, strong dark on the side of the building here, which talks about what's happening down here. Okay. And then we got a little bit of foliage up here. A little more angle on the roof. How's that? Maybe I'll make that a little bit smaller. Nice little wispy tree right here. So okay, so now I'm going to start in with my alcohol wash. Now I'm isopropyl alcohol. I'm using 70%. Now this is important because I'm on the color fix paper. Some papers, such as pastel matte, it's okay with the 90%. But color fix is just a little bit more sensitive, and it's probably a good idea to stick with the 70% when you're using the color fix paper with this technique. I'm just going to come in here. I know I love to do this kind of underpainting or wash, especially when I'm in the studio, because I'm wanting a little bit more playful, serendipitous sort of exploration when I'm in the studio. Just this adds a little bit more element of fun and play for me. Get these kind of drips, things that I wouldn't really be able to get without this kind of technique with the pastel. So this is fun. So I'm going to get this wash in here and place these a little bit differently. There we go. It's going to let me have some brush work, which is going to be kind of, especially since I've got a pretty large foreground here, this kind of wash is going to let me have a little bit more of a brush work idea, which is fun. Some drips and, you know. Okay. Maybe even come across this rooftop. Let's set in a little bit of value here even. Changes, because it's, even though I'm not coming over across any pastel, I've got some pigment on my brush. A little residual. So this is a nice, fun start for me. I like it. And I have to let this dry completely. So when I put my hand down on this paper that doesn't have any of the alcohol in it, I don't even feel any coldness or warmness. When I come over here, it's cold. So I want this to dry completely, probably about 10 or 15 minutes, something in that range. And then I'm going to come along and start in with my pastel. Okay, now this is completely dry, which is what I want. And I'm going to start with setting in some of these foliage masses. So I'm going to start with the middle of the lights. I'm going to think about what's in the light and what's in the shadow. Kind of come along. Yep, I need a little bit more shadow side right here. Okay. My neighborhood's a little bit noisy. Okay. Inevitably, when I start filming and I open up my windows, we get people doing all their lawn work. Okay. So, just thinking, what's in light? Oh my goodness. Okay. Now, this little band of light, give it a little bit more dynamics than appear in the reference. Okay. Okie doke. Now I'm going to add on a little bit of intensity, especially where the shadow and light meet. It's an opportunity for us as painters to, punch in some color. It's always a vibration there. Okay. And here. Okay, what's next? What's next? I'm going to start adding on to the darks. So within these dark masses, I don't want this just to be a flat mass. I want some modeling in here, some color. Again, some vibration of color. So I'm going to bring in, so even though you want to think of this as all one mass to start, within it there's variety of hue, and there's some gradations. There's some planes that are in the deeper shadow, but there's also some that are facing the light just a little bit more. Little bit turned towards the light slightly more. So we have these deep accents in shadow, but there's variety within the shadow. It's not just flat. There's a nice dark right there. I want to say something about. All right. So what about this structure? I'm going to pick something for. So what's really interesting to me about it, that the light's very cool. I mean, the shadow rather is very cool, and the light's very warm. So I'm going to pick something that seems like it's the correct value to start. Now I've got these elements of the structure, but I still want to be oriented towards painting, not drawing. I've got my windows just a little large. That's all right. So now I'm going to pick something for this cement down here. Let's see. I'm going to get around the windows. So I'm going to pick something that I think that's pretty good right there. It's about the right value. We'll see. No reserve judgment on it. Won't know until we get the light in. Let's see. I want this to be pretty warm. See how that works. So that's not bad. Pretty good. It's pretty simple. Okay. And the edge of that here, it's a little bit lighter. The trim on the house is a little bit lighter than the siding. So go for something like that, at least to start. All right, now I want to say something about the modeling the trees a little bit more. So a little bit more dynamics in here. And this one is kind of an interesting, little funky shape to the sky. It's a different kind of tree. It's more of a deciduous, where these are more pines. Same over here. And I already get a sense of the quality of light, which is really cool. Got a long ways to go, but look at this kind of wispy, there's this kind of wispy tree back here. Light touch, I'm using a very light touch. I'm not filling the tooth. Okay. Right at this point, what I'd like to do is put a little bit more dynamics in this, in the dark. So I think I'm going to pick something that's, is that what I want? I think so. Just modeling these darks a little bit. There's some variety in here. And then how about this foreground? Let's do this bank here. Let's play around with that a little bit. Okay. Yeah, that's nice. There's some grasses that are coming up. And they go across this light band of light. Just something I definitely want to indicate. This light back here. Okay. So the underside of this eave. And I think I want to say something about that this is siding on this building. So I'm going to come in with another color. It's a little bit more muted than that blue that I had chosen. So that will help. I like that. And then if you notice something really kind of fun, right here where the light and shadow meet, there's a kind of a vibration. It almost looks orange. I'm going to come in with this kind of peachy pink. And that's nice. Right. Then around this window down here, we've got some and I don't need to have my drawing perfect, and I don't actually want it to be. I want sort of a broken line. And same up here. I don't want it to be perfect. Okay, at this point, I think what we need to do is get the sky in, because that's going to tell me a whole lot about how I'm doing here. I'm just going to mop in a pretty light value. I want to make sure that pretty much in every case, my sky wants to be the lightest value. So I want to, let's see, get that little sneak that a bit. Okay. Still using a pretty light touch here. A few little sky holes. Not worrying about that too much. I'm going to come back around to kind of redesign these shapes. I'm just kind of getting it in just lightly here. Come around, coming over here and getting another spot on my pastel. Vertical marks. I want this little guy to be nice and wispy. Around here. Got a few little see. I'm taking my time here a little bit careful. Getting in between these guys. Over the other side. All right, right here, both here and here, there's kind of a little bit of a reddish foliage mass that I think will be nice. So kind of echo what's happening on the rooftop here. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of make that suggestion right now before I go any further. This one, not that much. So I'm going to go ahead and pick some of that a little bit soft edge with the sky. It'll blend nicely. Get this kind of unusual shape in this tree here. It's kind of different kind of thing. Kind of leaning. Out of my, like that. Okay. So now I've got it kind of masked in here. I have a much better idea of what's going on here. Shapes designed just a little bit. I'm going to work on this roof. So the rooftop has some kind of a purple, dark purple up here. Not sure whether that's the moss or the moss is the lighter color. But I'm going to make some kind of suggestion of some shingles in here. It's definitely okay. Well, that's kind of fun. Kind of like that. Just a series of marks that are just come along, and it's just that. Okay. Now there's a underside of some of this foliage, so I want to kind of model that a little bit. So yeah, I want to start out and average out these shapes, but then there are some darks within this. In here. But I have to start with the bigger masses. I want to keep the shapes connected in the larger masses, at least to begin with. Undersides, under here. These little bit of cast shadow under these branches that are coming just slightly across the rooftop. That's nice. Okay, starting to get that real nice quality of light. So I'm going to hit some of this, a couple spots a little bit lighter. Get a little texture, like there's some foliage. I'm going to exaggerate this idea that there's some grasses popping up into the shadow. It's not as obvious in the reference, but I'm going to go ahead, like I said, and exaggerate that just a little. Nothing too crazy. What's in the light and what's in the shadow? Okay, I think I'm really getting there with this. This is kind of turning out kind of nice. A little bit more color on the edge here. Even drag, I can get away with dragging some of that into here. And where the shadow meets the light, a little pop of color. It works out really nice. Some of these little grasses. So I'm using the negative shape. Really pretty. You don't need that much, you know, you don't need to go that far. Get that. Okay. A little bit more calligraphy down here. It's nice how the red is popping through just a tad. This roof has a little lighter line at the top. I'm going to use a little broken line to suggest that. I'm going to go ahead with the sky, and I want a little gradation in the sky. So I'm going to come in with a little bit, tiny bit darker aqua at the top here, and just gradually kind of marry that with what I've already got down. Go ahead and fill the tooth just a little bit more. You know, I think I want it a little bit darker even. I'm going to roll this around here, get the right spot. And kind of marry that together, just a little bit of finger blending, not overboard. Come back with the lighter one, put them back together. Might even want a little bit of yellow at the bottom here. Let's see, get this going. I'm not worried about it getting into the tree, that's okay. And we're not drawing in the lines here, so it's all right for the color to sort of mesh together. It can always restate the contours, but it's harder to get the softness, so it's okay. Yeah, I think I want a little bit of warmth down here, because that sunlight is warm. This is kind of a little pinky color. That's nice. Let's clean it off by just dragging it over here. So that does a good job of sort of marrying the blue, couple blues. Softening those edges. Come in here and fill this in just a little bit more. Getting there. That's good. Taking my time. Marrying that together. Making sure the sky holes have the right value behind, behind them. Otherwise it won't be convincing. This needs to be the lighter. I want this to be really wispy and small. always restate stuff if you need to. Looking good. I just want to redesign some of this a little bit. Not loving that. Okay, I think I'm just about there on this one. I'm gonna finish it off a little slowly. But I really like the direction of it. Clean up a couple things. I think I might put a couple really light green pop in here and there. Maybe up here too. Just run the really leading edge where the light's really hitting the sides strongly up here. I'm not going to go too crazy. Oop, with that. A little texture.